Hey guys, so the old farmhouse has lots of doors that we've never locked because we've never really needed to. However, recently our town has had a couple of break-ins, so it's time to upgrade the security around the place. So this door on this building at the back of the main house has a lock on it that we've never used. And when we tried to use it from the inside, these ones you can use the key from the outside or just manually from the inside, and it was sort of jammed. So the plan was take it off and take it to a locksmith, because at the moment we're already looking for a locksmith, some of you already be aware, and replace the lock, get a new lock with a couple of keys and just replace the lock. So I've got the Unskilled locksmith to take this lock off. No real idea what we're doing here, of course. Wouldn't have been taken off probably since it was new, probably. So it was all pretty tight, all the screws are pretty sort of jammed in there. So have a look inside. Absolutely, how all that stuff got in there, who knows? Dust and dirt and fuzzy stuff, whatever that mystery fuzzy stuff is. Look, something's had a nest in there. So it was seriously jammed. You couldn't, the inside manual locking device on the inside just wouldn't turn at all. So that's probably why. That's a bit of a hint. So just trying to work out how this thing works. Couldn't really, because you turn the key and then a little lever comes out, little arm comes out, and that jams that door, or that locks that door against the other sliding door. So I was really stuck in there. That got it. So I have this little box. All the things that we found when we cleaned up the house, we put all the things that were the same together. So all the locks and door fittings and things all went in that box there. So there was some keys in there. So I was like, well, let's have a go at these keys, see if any of them fit. That one looks like it might. And it did. It's like, okay, well, that's a bonus. That's a good thing. So then just sort of experimenting to try and work out how it works, and turning it, it was just really jammed. Couldn't work out why it wasn't. It just kept turning round and round and round, and the little thing wasn't coming out the bottom. The little lever wasn't coming out the bottom. And then found this little thing in there that's sort of a little gear cog type thing that pushes a little bar up and down. That thing there, and it had actually come out. It had actually come out was where it wasn't supposed to be. So it was all sort of jammed up, it was sort of corroded in there, it was all joined together. So I tried to clean it up, but it was really sort of fiddly in there, lots of little bits pushing against each other, all corroded up. So I couldn't sort of get in there enough to clean it with a brush or anything. And that levery thing just wasn't moving. So decided to soak it in some kerosene. Sort of wash it in kerosene to get all the bits of rubbish out of in there and sort of clean it up a bit. That seemed to work. Lots of stuff came out into the kerosene, so that worked. We happen to have 40 gallons of kerosene, 40 litres of kerosene sitting around, because we've got kerosene stoves, of course, in winter. So yeah, that worked really well. Sort of flushed it through. Yay, yay, yay. The word satisfying gets used a lot on the internet for all sorts of silly things, you know, so I avoid using that word. But in this case, it was a really satisfying job. It really was. Some jobs are a nightmare and they get worse and worse and worse. This one just got better and better. But taking it off the door was less of a drum than I thought it would be. And then finding that key was a bonus. And then washed it with Kero and then blew it out with the compressor. And that worked really well too. And that freed it up and it really started to move quite well then. So, sprayed some oil into it, sort of dried the kerosene out of it a bit, and then sprayed some oil into it and put it back in the door. So this whole thing was a huge win. You know, the plan was to take it off and get a new lock, and who knows what that would have cost. So it was a job that cost zero, because of course there was a can of that spray, sort of like RP7 type stuff, lying around from the old man from 12 years ago, bless him. And the kerosene we already had, so just a good cleaning up. We've only got one key, of course, but that's okay. We don't sort of use this room terribly much. We just don't want anyone in there. And if someone stays and has their, sometimes guests stay in there and they've got stuff in there, so they'll be able to lock it now. So click, yay, little arm swings up and locks against the other door there. So that worked, nice. So then from the inside, it's a funny old mechanism that all these old sliding doors are like this, that the locks are all the same. And then from the inside, you just pick up the little levery thing and turn it round and it sort of locks in. Does the same thing from the inside. There it is, boink boink. There's only ever 2 or 3 of anything in Japan, you know. Sliding doors will have 1 or 2 types of different fittings, and this is one of them. Done! What a great deal. That was satisfying. Anyway, there was that. More videos coming soon.